why be so punitive in punishment? Let's see, what else? Why are they still prosecuting me when I was a legal area of the park?
Exactly.
So the parks were open.
Over there, the wood chips, yeah.
Yeah, parks were open. Well, the wood chips were technically open as well. The only thing that they had closed down was the playground equipment and the exercise equipment. So I'd like to see video of when I was touching either of those or playing on any of them, because I wasn't. So I want to know why I'm still being prosecuted for not actually trespassing.
Wait, young lady.
Thank you everyone for coming, my dear friends. So it's been 2 years since that infamous day where I took my kids to a play date and I was arrested at the playground. Just to, I'll tell that story really quick, and then I'll catch up to today's date. So that day was a nice sunny day. We were 6 weeks into the lockdown, but in Idaho our parks were opened and our playground equipment and the exercise equipment was wrapped up with tape. I was invited to a play date, and it was April 21st of 2020. Wasn't planning on going, but I was at home and I was on my computer, and somebody had come to the play date and was doing a live, and they showed the playground equipment and they said, someone's ripped off the tape, it's such a lovely day, all these kids are playing, and I was beckoned to the playground. We showed up, I let the kids go and play, and just a few minutes later 3 officers showed up and started telling people to get off the playground. And I started to get a little inquisitive, as most people do when there's arbitrary rules. And I was asking, why was the playground equipment closed off if we could have basketball players over here and people were sitting at picnic tables? And I think at one point me and my friends asked, if the virus dies in the sunlight, why is the equipment, wrapped up with tape? But I was never in an actual legal or illegal part of the park, and so it surprised me when the officer kept saying, or said to me, I'm giving you 5 seconds, leave. And so I just was surprised and a little irritated, and I said, fine, arrest me for being in a park, because I hadn't broken any laws and I hadn't touched the playground equipment, and I honestly was confused as to why he would count down to me like a child. So I was hauled off to the Ada County Jail, where they had at that point let out over 300 inmates from the Ada County Jail. Must have been to let in moms for taking their kids to the playground. Initially I was charged with trespassing, injury to property, because they tried to accuse me of ripping off tape, which I wasn't even there for. I don't know who did it. And they eventually changed that to trespassing failure to depart. So catching up to today's time, I have had now 3 lawyers, have spent over 20 grand on legal fees. I've had 2 trials suspended, and my last hearing, the judge set an evidentiary evidentiary hearing for May 31st, and that's actually going to be in person for the first time in 2 years. So, I think I first want to tell people how thankful I am for the support. I can't believe that it's been 2 years. I would have never thought that taking my kids to a playground would have turned into such a huge ordeal. It kind of blows me away. But it's been 2 years later, and I really think that 2020 and continuing on has brought out, it's shown the true colors of people. And Lawrence Wasden is the person who's actually in charge of my case and in charge of the prosecution on that. And I don't understand why you would continue prosecuting me if I never broke a law. And honestly, if you ask me, I think the reason it's been drug out for 2 years is because they're trying to financially bankrupt me into pleading guilty, so they don't have to, in a court of law, admit that they were wrong. So, what can you do to help? So beyond, well, I want to thank people who have donated to this point and sent me messages and let me call them on the phone late at night and complain about this, because quite frankly, it's not been easy. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of other things I would have spent $20,000 on. But I just I think principally you can't sell your principles. And the state of Idaho, they did actually offer me a deal. It's a pretty good deal. It's a $50 ticket citation. But as I reflect over the last 2 years and the charade that's been played, and then dragging me through a court system and me not getting my due process or right to a speedy trial and the money that's been spent, I asked the state of Idaho, how much more blood can you squeeze out of me? At $50, just honestly, I'm not going to sell my principles for $50. They're not for sale. So, thank you still for standing by me after all this time and for the support. For those of you on Facebook or social media, what you really can do to help us share my story, because I've had so many people ask me, why isn't the media talking about this? Well, it's because you guys simply haven't told them about it. You got to tell them. You got to tell them. So share my story, create a post, let people like Tucker Carlson know or Glenn Beck that this is still going on after 2 years later. Because here's what they want, you guys. Do you know what the state wants? They want you guys to forget about me, so they can squish me like a little bug and it just goes away and nobody ever knows about it. But see, I still do this because I want to expose how bad the state of Idaho has been for the last 2 years. Treating citizens like they're second class to dogs because they made sure the doggy park stayed open, you guys. Dogs were more important than my kids to the state of Idaho and to the Meridian City. And even something I just found out actually in my discovery recently was the instructions to the employees at the Parks and Rec. Do you know if a parent came and wanted to still play in the playground, what they told the employees? Your job is not to stop them, it's to inform them. Don't let them go ahead and play. So if that was their instruction, you tell me why 2 years later I was the only one that got singled out and why I was prevented from letting my kids play on the playground. So, happy 2-year anniversary.
Unhappy 2-year anniversary, maybe, huh?
Nah, it's not unhappy for me. It's going to be unhappy for the state of Idaho, though. I just hope that this gives people courage that when you have the state coming after you, if you have the state coming after you and you're a good citizen, you're doing something right. If they're persecuting you like that and dragging you through the courts or legal processes like that, you're doing something right. So, I just want to say, moms are essential. I mean, we give life. We're the epitome of essential. So, thank you, you guys. Any questions? Questions? I know we're all freezing. It's literally like winter now. Okay, good. No questions.
No, I want to know if I want to donate. What do I send?
Oh, I have a Give, Send, Go.
What's the name?
Give, Send, Go. Support Sarah Brady.
Does the website still work?
Yes.
SupportSarahBrady.com.
Yep. And I think there's another one too. Free Sarah Brady as well.
We have some business cards, but
Yeah. So the next hearing is May 31st. It's an evidentiary hearing. My understanding is like a mini trial, and it's in person. So please come, because this is, I mean, just the fact that I get to see a judge in person is like huge for me. That's going to be exciting. Just that alone. So I'll be there with bells and whistles on.
Okay, I have a question. Why haven't you ever seen him in person, and why did you have 2 trials canceled?
So I have not seen him in person because of COVID. At least that's been the excuse to me. And 2 trials were canceled also because of COVID. The first trial that was canceled was in February of 2021. The second trial that was suspended was a week and a half before we were ready to go. That was August 18th of 2021. And at that point I'd spent, I think, close to $18,000, and I got a phone call saying that the courts would be suspending it. And in Ada County at the time, they would suspend trials if it was 20 people who tested positive or were probable cases for COVID out of 100,000 people. So I lost my rights if somebody thought somebody had a sniffles. Anybody else? Okay, we're good. Cut. Yeah, okay, great. Thanks. Thank you guys.